Thanks for joining us on The World Now. Pakistan's Air Force says it has launched retaliatory airstrikes on Iran. The country's military explains today's airstrikes targeted hideouts being used by two terrorist organizations, the Balochistan Liberation Army and the Balochistan Liberation Front. Iranian state media says the attack killed at least 9 people.
The Pakistani retaliatory airstrikes against Iran come as tension rises in the Middle East, gradually becoming a region of overlapping crises. 3 women, 2 men, 4 children were reportedly killed in Iran by Pakistan's attack. The country's foreign ministry has confirmed the airstrikes, but the Iranian media says they took place around the city of Savaran. On Tuesday, Pakistan's government seriously condemned a strike carried out by Iran, which hit an area of the country's Balochistan province near the Iranian border. According to the government, the airstrike allegedly killed 2 children. But Iran is insisting the airstrikes were aimed only at an ethnic Baloch Sunni Muslim group that had carried out attacks inside Iran and not Pakistani civilians. The Pakistani army on its part says its retaliatory airstrikes were conducted with drones, rockets and long-range missiles. According to the army, 2 terrorist organizations, the Balochistan Liberation Army and the Balochistan Liberation Front, were the targets. Pakistan and Iran have long accused each other of harboring militant groups that carry out attacks from regions along their shared border.
Another wave of missile strikes against Houthi-controlled sites in Yemen. It marks the 4th time in a week that it has directly targeted the group. The strikes were launched on the Red Sea, hitting more than 12 sites. The attacks comes after a drone launched from areas controlled by Houthi rebels hit a U.S.-owned vessel in the Gulf of Aden. The Houthi-controlled Sabah news agency alleges UK aircraft were also involved in the strikes. The U.S. military says its forces conducted strikes on 14 Houthi missiles loaded to be fired from Yemen because they present an imminent threat to merchant vessels and U.S. Navy ships in the region. Since November, attacks by the Iran-backed Houthi militia on ships in the region have slowed trade between Asia and Europe and alarmed major powers. Houthi rebels, who control most of Yemen, say they are acting in solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza. Let's talk about the troubling expansion of airstrikes across Asia and the Middle East. I'm joined by global affairs analyst Dr. Ambrose Igbokwe. Dr. Igbokwe, thank you for joining us on The World Now. Some stakeholders in Pakistan...
Thanks for having me. The name is Dr. Igbokwe.
Dr. Igbokwe, thank you for joining us. Stakeholders in Pakistan have called Iran's action on Tuesday as illegal and escalatory. So they're saying the response we're reporting is expected, and this is Pakistan showing that it has both the will and capacity to respond to external threats and any attack on its sovereignty. What do you think?
I don't know. Iran has been playing the role of a spoiler in that region for over, since the Ayatollah Khomeini's revolution in 1979. So it has, engaged. Remember that he engaged Iraq in a border war for almost 70 years. I remember as children growing that time, when children fought for a long time, they said, even if you're Iraq and Iran. And so we grew up with that, knowing Iraq and Iran, even as kids, to tell you about the longevity of their war. So Iran has virtually fought with every other country in the sub-region in trying to assert their, radical nature of doing things. Unfortunately, Iran was allowed to develop rich uranium, which has almost given them, a nuclear weapon. And some people have said they already have nuclear weapons. Some say they're actually almost there. So in any way, because of the strength they are gaining in terms of militarily, Iran has become more, radicalized and are becoming a problem, sponsoring terrorists by proxy in different countries and being involved directly with the sovereignty of that country, even overthrowing governments around the Middle East. And this is not comfortable around the world. This, you remember, they're involved with Hezbollah in Lebanon. They're also involved somehow in Syria, in Yemen. In fact, every part of where there's crisis, Iran is there. So Iran is becoming really a pain in the ass for the military, for the conviviality of peaceful existence in the Middle East. And because of that, it's actually a big problem. Now, what they have done with Pakistan, Pakistan is one because Pakistan has no nuclear weapon. And you don't joke with a country that has a nuke. And so they can cause maximum damage anytime. And so it was good that Pakistan responded, even though Pakistan and Iran have good diplomatic relationship. They even do military drills together. And so they have been good neighbors over the years. But imagine that you have been good neighbors over the years, yet you had the temerity to send strikes into a friendly neighbor's territory. And it was good that Pakistan responded because the petulant nature of Iran would have made it that if there were no response, it would have struck maybe caused another damage for Pakistan. It is good that Pakistan sent a strong and firm message to Iran that our territory, our territory is not Lebanon, our territory is not Yemen or Syria or wherever you can play with. We will respond fire for fire. And that was a good message.
So the standard practice is such that any anti-terrorist operations outside one's sovereign territory is expected to be conducted in coordination between the states involved, because the allegation from both countries have been they are attacking installations by terrorists. Why were these issues, or why do you think these issues have not been able to be resolved through political and diplomatic means?
The problem with the modern society is that most of these advanced countries, and especially hotbed entities, have rogue organizations maintained by a legitimate government. And that has been the problem. So you have an Iran maintaining a Hezbollah group inside, for example, Lebanon. Iran has its own legitimacy with those people, but it's maintaining rogue groups. The same thing with other nations like that. Remember the case of Afghanistan, where America had to practically invade Afghanistan and some other countries, tracking members of the Al-Qaeda, and we finally even led to the death of Osama bin Laden in another territory. Another territory was invaded with stealth operation. And that is the nature of the kind of modern society we live in, where legitimate countries actually sponsor and organize rogue organizations. Recently, we were talking about Russia's involvement with the Wagner Group and the rest. These things are scattered like that all over the world, even by the so-called advanced nations. So when this happens, you cannot, as a sovereign nation, if you feel threatened, start negotiating diplomatically with a nation which you strongly believe are the ones sponsoring the rogue groups. For example, how can you be having conversations, whatever, at any level with Iran about Hezbollah terrorism? Nothing will come out of it, because you know that they are the ones that are sponsoring it. So that is the problem. So Iran may be right, and Pakistan may be right, because they know what they spy on each other, even the so-called friendly nations and the rest. There are spies everywhere, there are moles everywhere. And that has been the nature of, international relationship over the years. Although that got exacerbated during the Cold War region between the Eastern Bloc and Western Bloc.
I hear you,
but
Dr.
still,
Bouquet.
it has continued even after the Berlin.
You hear the European Union saying that it's concerned about the spiral of violence in the Middle East and beyond. Just how volatile and destabilizes the region becoming as we speak, with the Israeli-Gaza war still raging?
I don't know why European nations said they are alarmed, because they are the ones that caused all the alarm. because the superpowers and the so-called advanced nations who control the United Nations are not in one accord. The members of the permanent members of the Security Council are dancing different tunes. Russia is saying something else. US is saying something else. France is on the other side. England on the other side. China is also, singing discordant tunes. So they have not been able to get their acts right. Therefore, Russia is talking about Iran, backing up Iran. US is backing up France is talking tough on both sides, at the same time saying that condemning Israel, at the same time not equally conundrum of confusion. So both of you just playing to the gala, saying they are alarmed. They are the ones that cause this exacerbation. And with what is happening in the sea, where commercial vessels have been attacked, and America even striking them, and other powers striking them, then we have to control it, because these are how world wars start, when it is between two countries and then their allies start joining in, and before we know it, we'll have a confederation. So something needs to be done immediately to stop us from going into an unnecessary war that will involve the whole world.
It's important to note that this escalation is also happening just days before a general election in Pakistan, with an interim government in place and election campaigns in full swing. We'll see how that also impacts on the local politics and, peace within Pakistan. But the U.S., you mentioned, the U.S. military has fired another wave of missile strikes against the Houthi-controlled sites, making it the fourth time in a week that it's directly targeting the group in Yemen. You wonder if attacks of this nature considerably or significantly changes anything in the region, given the determination of this armed group?
I think for the United States of America, Yemen is turning to another Afghanistan. The Russians tried Afghanistan, they ran away. The US came after spending so many years, spending billions, almost trillions of dollars in Afghanistan. They abandoned the whole thing. The people they were fighting are back. So I don't know why Yemen is turning so. So most of these things they are not actually for the progress of the Yemenis people or for the progress of America. Most of this is a proxy war between maybe Russia, Iran, US, and there's a battleground where they're trying to assert control. And sometimes it's for mineral resources, solid minerals, oil and some other things. So in a desperate move by these superpowers to assert control, they balkanize the country. So they catch one part of it, another group catches one part, and that is what is actually happening in Yemen and so many of these countries that are at war. It's happening in Libya too. And so this is something historically to track it. That is how these behaviors have been. Balkanize the country, send the ragtag groups, send the splinter groups to rule different parts, and then they control it from their various countries. So it's a war for control of mineral resources, and it has nothing to do with whether the people of Yemen are suffering or they want to restore democracy and all those cliches that throw around the media. So Yemen has become an epicenter for grab by the superpowers.
For the Houthis, they say that what they are doing is in solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza, and that their attacks.
There's no solidarity there.
They say that their attacks
they are just pure pirates who are operating and stealing things and causing problems in the sea.
Well, according to them, their attacks on commercial shipping in Red Sea will end as soon as the Israeli aggression in Gaza stops. We'll see how that plays out in the coming days. Global Affairs Analyst Dr. Abros Ugoke, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you, Nifemi, for having me.
We're back with more stories from around the world after this break.
Experience information and entertainment like never before as TVC Breakfast takes your weekends to a whole new level. Introducing TVC Breakfast Weekend Edition, your ultimate source of thrilling sports updates, insightful political analysis, and captivating entertainment news. Stay in the know with what's trending, catch up with the latest in sports, and immerse yourself in the latest buzz from the world of music and movies. Your weekends are no longer just days off, but moments packed with knowledge, excitement, and enjoyment. TVC Breakfast Weekend Edition, only on TVC News.
On Business Week.
Israel